But I believe that God has given specifically even women, I'm saying it, a specific desire to provide and to provide for their families in a way because a lot of these women, they're working in our store and all they talk about is I'm doing this for my kids.
Yeah.
I'm doing this so that I can send Christmas presents to my kid. I'm doing this so I can get my kids back. And I don't want to say like, hey, you had this. I want to uplift like, hey, you actually have gifts and maybe you use them on the street.
Absolutely.
But we can use them for good.
Hey, welcome to the Elijah Rising podcast, where we discuss the myths, misconceptions, and most asked questions about sex trafficking. I'm Adam, and today I am once again joined by my good friend and colleague, Sam Hernandez, the mobilization director for Elijah Rising. Say hello, Sam.
Hi, glad to be back.
Happy to have you back. Sam has been on staff with Elijah Rising for 7 years, and I would intro her, but you probably already know who she is. So we're not going to do that, and we're just going to jump right into the topic of the podcast today. And so we're asking the question, will candles make a difference? Obviously, in the fight to end sex trafficking. So one of the things, Sam, that you've done for Elijah Rising, in Elijah Rising, with Elijah Rising, is you launched the social enterprise for our organization. So social enterprise is one of these terms that we throw around a lot, I feel like.
Yeah. It's very confusing.
Yeah. And it's used in different fields, right? And in our work, there's other organizations that have a social enterprise. So I really want our listeners to kind of hear the story of how our social enterprise came to be, which you were so instrumental in. But before we do that, could you just can you define social enterprise? What does it mean?
Yeah, let's break down the word social enterprise and also silence our phones. Let's make sure.
Podcast recording.
So we're going to let's define the word social enterprise.
Yep.
So we have two pieces, or two words, I guess. So the words phrase social enterprise. We have social, we have enterprise. It's business that does a social good. So it's any type of business, enterprise, opportunity that is doing some sort of social good. There's a lot of different ways that people look at it. It could be a business that's just a business that funds a nonprofit or some kind of charity, but ours itself, the business, is the social good in what it does.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure you'll ask me a lot more questions.
Yeah,
we'll get it. So business that does good. Okay. That's what a social enterprise is.
So the social part of social enterprise refers to social justice? Or
yes,
like
for
doing
us,
social good?
Yeah, and the good that we are doing is empowering survivors of or women who have survived sex trafficking.
Right. Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks. So that's what social enterprise is. Elijah Rising does have a social enterprise.
Yes.
So tell us, please, how did we get into that?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So when we were walking alongside survivors, we found that sex trafficking is not only a horrible injustice, it also creates a worldview within women who've survived sex trafficking of money. It is a thing that's evil that's used against them. It is something that is controlling their whole life, but they don't have a healthy relationship with it. Now, we know in the Bible says the root of all evil is the what of money?
The love of money.
It's not money itself, it's the love of money.
Right.
God uses provision. So what we tried to do is say, hey, let's pull them out of that mindset of money.
Yeah.
And what we saw was when we were trying to get women to help them recover and give them an opportunity to work, we would send them into a lot of easy access, low hanging fruit, entry level positions, such as Subway, McDonald's, or, and we found that these were not trauma informed. I mean, anybody who's ever been in customer service, it is not trauma informed.
Right.
Like, can I get an amen?
Right.
And so it came out to be a very triggering experience. So the reason we started a social enterprise was because we desperately needed something where they could just get a leg up. We realized they couldn't get a job without, there's lots of reasons, but they needed employment. That's the bottom line. They needed a healthy, trauma-informed employment to save money, have work history, et cetera.
Yeah. So that's it feels like
that's
the why of social enterprise.
And the how.
But that's good. I mean, so what just to kind of recap that just briefly, like the why came from the experience of like working with women who had survived, women who were exiting from our intervention, and
women who were like getting in fights at their place of business because
Yeah.
they didn't have the skills necessary to transition
Yeah.
from the complex PTSD that they had experienced.
Well, and like you said, and like in a work environment that isn't, I mean, no knock on Subway, but like the manager of a Subway doesn't run their business for the purpose of trauma-informed care.
And the customer of Subway
Exactly.
is on some other level mean people, garbage,
Right.
over a chicken teriyaki sandwich. So like it is,
It can be triggering. Yeah.
extremely triggering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the why. So tell us the how.
How.
So yeah, how did we start it?
It actually rose up from the ashes. And I have a couple friends out there that I started a business with.
Yes.
And I love them very much.
Yes.
So we started a business and we were selling candles, bath and body goods.
And a great body balm
And a great body balm.
that I was a purchaser of.
Yes. And we had this vision. Long story short, the business didn't end up working out. Me and the friends are still friends. I love them very much. I see them often.
Yes.
And I had kind of this knowledge. I'd done a dry run of running an online store. And I thought, I don't see myself doing this alone. But what if I took all the knowledge? And it really just, our business failed because of people's time. They
Sure.
didn't have the time to do it. So I said, what if I took all this knowledge and kind of brought it to Elijah Rising? I had some of the equipment, I had some of the pieces, and I had a lot of the knowledge, trial and error.
Yeah.
So in my kitchen in 2017, we started making candles. We were heating them up on my stove, taking them to a back room, and I hired our first 3 ladies then.
Nice.
And from there, September of 2017, we launched an online store, had a launch party. It was so much fun. I actually had crazy strep throat, found out later, but
Oh, gosh.
it was horrible. But we had a great time no matter what, and it was a great success, and we've been growing ever since.
Yeah. Well, and then you had another milestone, right?
Yes.
In April of 2019.
April 2019, we opened a retail store,
Yeah.
and that was huge. I mean, that was huge. Just the reality that we could open a retail store, and there's some news and things coming down the pipeline soon about all
right.
that. But we opened a store and we started really upping our production to be wholesale.
Yeah.
Shipping. We ship goods all over the country. We ship goods to New York. We ship goods to California.
Yeah.
But now we're shipping our very first pallet next week.
Come on.
And so a lot of amazing milestones. A lot of women have come through, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
Yeah.
it's been a very exciting year.
Well, and one of the reasons why I bring up the retail store is because, you described that moment of like starting to melt that first wax in your kitchen, right? So like the retail store was an advancement because then you had an R&D kitchen, right?
Yes.
I mean, and all the
Yeah.
equipment, it really expanded the ability to produce.
Yeah, and I think that some people look at our social enterprise and what they imagine is like this crafty thing that happens like in a small room where we like heat up candles and we sell some. And that's how we started.
Right.
But now we are melting 70 plus 40, 110 pounds of wax at a time in giant double boilers, making hundreds of candles at a time. Now, putting
Right.
out 7,000 units of salt. And we very much operate it as a business, but of course, with the whole purpose being so that we can hire the women.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's expanded far beyond just a candle, right?
Yeah.
If you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, thank you. But you might notice that Sam and I look like we're in a uniform because we're both wearing.
We did not plan this, by
was
the
not
way. This
planned.
is how we showed up to work, and I do not have anything else to wear.
Yeah, that's right,
And
yeah.
this is like the greatest shirt ever. Christian Watson from 1924
Yeah.
designed these amazing shirts. We love them.
They're so great. Yeah. So we sell shirts. We do all sorts of different stuff. But the candle has become kind of what I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, the candles become what we're known for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we sell the most of. We move the most units, which by the way, let's enjoy. Let me just
Let's
light
enjoy
this
this
candle.
candle.
These are also our Start Something matches that we sell. This is the thing. The candle has been the main thing that people buy, and I think there's a couple reasons. It's great for us because you use it and then you need another one. You get to enjoy it multiple times. You can have it all over your house. Everyone loves it as a gift. And I always see candles and wondered why I love them. But the whole thing is that, candles, we've surpassed the technology, right?
We don't need candles anymore.
We have LEDs, we have fluorescent lights, we
Right.
have aroma, diffusers. We can get fragrance and light multiple different ways. But what do we do at birthday parties? We're lighting candles. What do we do when we're in deep prayer? Some people of faith are lighting candles. What do we do when all the lights are out at your house and all your kids are huddled in blankets by the windows? They have the candles lit.
Yeah. Or mourning, like vigils.
At
you
vigils,
light a candle.
there's candles.
Yeah.
It's this thing of remembrance and celebration. And for me, there's something so beautiful about the women in our program. They make all of our candles and they ship all of our candles. Them holding this torch and passing it off to our customer who has then said, like, I believe in this mission. And then it gets passed on and then maybe even gifted to someone else. And you see this like flame, this icon, this memorial of something that we all believe in as people who are fighting sex trafficking, which is the futures of these women. And so it's really, really beautiful to me that the candles have become our best sellers. Does that mean we have 5 more minutes? Holy freaking, we haven't even gotten into any of the
we'll get there.
It means a lot to me that this has become our bestseller. And I even named this one Cactus Flower after the ladies that we serve, because if you look all over Texas, rolling hills, you see these cactuses that survive in any conditions. Yeah. They're so resilient and they sprout out these beautiful flowers. And they're just so resilient and amazing. And also they will get you if you step on them wrong, because
yeah.
and that reminds me of all the women that we serve. They are not playing around. They are tough. They're amazing. They're strong, and it's all made in Texas. So yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break in the podcast for just a minute. And when we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more of the details of like why social enterprise is important and how specifically it fights sex trafficking. So hang in there with us. We'll keep talking when you come back from the break.
You are cordially invited to the Elijah Rising Gala on Saturday, October 17th.
We are honored to once again collaborate with AD Players to bring you a powerful theatrical production.
This year, things are going to be a little different. Since we can't go to the theater, we're bringing the theater to your home.
Virtual tables and individual tickets are on sale at ElijahRising.org and will include a digital access pass for the one-night-only live event.
October 17th will be the premiere of a brand new collection of monologues based entirely on testimonies and experiences from our partnership with you to end sex trafficking.
Our hope is to connect you with the work that you empower, because we're seeing so many moments of community mobilization, safe housing, and therapeutic care.
However, we believe there are so many more to come, which is why we need your support now more than ever.
We look forward to sharing these powerful stories and testimonies with you as we continue the work of ending sex trafficking through prayer, awareness, intervention, and restoration. Let's talk a little bit more about how a social enterprise effectively fights sex trafficking.
Absolutely. When we are looking at stopping sex trafficking, we have to have a way for women and men and everyone who's been affected to safely and securely and confidently re-enter the workforce. So we provide, what we provide is employment. So they need to have money. I want to make it very clear that we do not force women to make candles in order as an exchange for their housing. All of our housing that we do with them is completely free. And the social enterprise is a job specifically for them to have money, as well as to have a job history. They learn to get a paycheck, get a bank, handle their own money without anyone else controlling it.
And working in the social enterprise is actually a later phase of their restoration process.
Yes, and that is a great point. They have some time to come into the program to get started in their therapy, to heal, to stabilize. And then what we actually do before we get to the social enterprise is they don't just join. I actually do an interview. I have an application. We have job descriptions. We do a job offer so that they get into the rhythm of what it's like to enter any kind of workplace. We share, we basically share what our expectations are, what their healthy expectations should be for me, and for their supervisor. And they get from that experience walking through that whole process. They learn job skills. They learn what it's like to work in a healthy environment, what's appropriate to talk about at work. I mean, imagine if you were forced into the commercial sex trade and all your job is talking about sex. It's difficult to know all the lines of what's appropriate, but I'm telling you, these women are amazing. Like they're incredible. They go through the process and then they are just like going after it. And so it's the coolest thing to watch that process happen. And then when they leave, they have a legitimate referral. And that's not like, hey, I was at a program. It was like, no, I was a production person. So that their next employer is not going to know. They will know that they were on staff with us.
Sure, right.
Not that they were in a program. That's nobody's business and no one should have to disclose that. So that kind of helps with that employment gap for the time that they were being trafficked.
Yeah. I want you to tell our listeners about the holy hustle.
Okay. Yes.
What do we, that's something we say around here. You coined it. What do you mean by the holy hustle?
Yes. So this is the thing. As a woman, as I am a woman, I feel like a lot of women that we work with, they've been on the street. When they're working, when they're being exploited, they have a godly gift of what I call holy hustle that then someone exploited for their gain.
That's right.
They're like, how can I get my bag? How can I get my money? And that was for the enemy, and that's into worship of mammon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I believe that God has given specifically even women, I'm saying it, a specific desire to provide and to provide for their families in a way because a lot of these women, they're working in our store and all they talk about is I'm doing this for my kids.
Yeah.
I'm doing this so that I can send Christmas presents to my kid. I'm doing this so I can get my kids back. And I don't want to say like, hey, you had this. I want to uplift like, hey, you actually have gifts and maybe you use them on the street.
Absolutely.
But we can use them for good. And so I myself, like I work for Elijah Rising, but I got like 3 other hustles on the side that I help for me and my future of, the way that I bring incomes into my household. I feel like God gave me that to inspire what we call the holy hustle in these women. The whole, like I always make jokes like we're slanging bath salts, like in that, which, and that can even be triggering to some of our residents, but we say this is, we're doing it for the Lord. We're doing it unto the Lord, not to worship money. And I just want to read, I brought my Bible.
Yeah, please.
I want to read Proverbs 31 because apparently it says something different than what I thought it did. I was like, Proverbs 31 doesn't tell me to be like a meek and mild this and this and this and this. Submissive. I read this and I see myself and I see what I aspire to be in what every one of these women. And so when I do the interview process with each one of these women, I read this to them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of intimidation when they're like, I've never done this before. And I want to tell them, well, let's just see what the word says.
Yeah.
It said, an excellent wife who can find, she's far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her. He will have no lack of gain. She does good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant, and she brings her food from afar. She's importing her food. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household. And portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. This is a real estate situation.
That sounds like holy hustling.
That is holy hustle. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise, amen, is profitable. Her lamp, amen, does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff and holds her hands to the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor. These women, I'm telling you, when they work at our social enterprise, they're saying, I want to open up affordable housing for this. I want to do this. I want to start a nonprofit. I want to give out this. And they have so many dreams because they understand that your cup doesn't get filled to stop. It gets filled to pour out.
Yeah.
She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen purple. Her husband is known at the gates. He sits among the elders. She makes linen garments and sells them and delivers sashes to the merchant. This is literally wholesaling. This is holy hustle. Strength and dignity are her clothing. She laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth and wisdom pours out. The teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She wades to the well of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and say, my mama is blessed, and her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful. Beauty is vain. The things which are completely manipulated by traffickers.
Yeah.
But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates. And I read this over them and I say, this is who God has made you to be. And I believe in you that you are completely capable. And it is the most amazing thing to start to see the little light bulbs go up of like, oh my gosh, you always wanted to be a teacher. Oh my gosh, you always wanted to do this. Oh my gosh, you have this dream within you. And to have it bubble up and then just get to shower it with encouragement and pressure to say, look, like I'm going to bring correction. We're going to make it. This is a place where we're exercising those muscles. And so it's really special.
One of the questions I was going to ask is like, how do our goods empower? You know, if you follow the work of Elijah Rising, if you're a purchaser of, the retail
goods.
store. Yeah. I mean, that's a slogan that we put on everything. In fact, I don't know if you can see it from the camera, but all these candles say goods that empower.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you what that means, but I feel like you just explained that in great detail because it's not just economic empowerment that we're talking about here. It's like an identity. Like it's like all that the Lord has given you in your person, like from birth, all those skills, the hustle, right? Those skills that drive the ingenuity, the brilliance that it takes, to be out on the street, but also to be in the marketplace. Like what I hear you saying, Sam, is that the social enterprise is a place that continues to just tell them who they are and offer them a way to express that, which is the empowerment.
Absolutely. And how to advocate for themselves in their workplace.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked with ladies in the past where I taught them how to advocate for a raise on their own behalf.
Yeah.
I taught them how to take a job offer and get 3 other job offers and negotiate between those 3 things. I talked to them about how to communicate grievances with me. I talked to them about how I want them, the pressure of overcoming correction and all of the things that are difficult in a workplace, especially for a young woman. So we're taking things that are even a struggle for any person, or especially a young woman, in any workplace, and giving them those tools to really exercise those things in a safe, trauma-informed place. Which is really interesting because we have kind of 8 core values that we keep in their binders, we keep on the walls to say this is what we expect while we're here. And the ladies we're working with now, it's kind of newer, but in the past we had this rule of like, hey, like if you're having an emotional, really difficult place, we want you to practice keeping that in a safe space and waiting to talk to your counselor. So that when they go into a workplace, they know, I've practiced self-soothing and healthy compartmentalizing so I can get through my workday. And let me tell you, like, they're amazing. It's so cool. I think that a lot of people think of, victims or this or that. And every woman that I've ever worked with is just like amazing, hard worker, insane work ethic, and usually like tons of ideas. And it has been the joy of my life.
And this isn't, one of the things I'm also thinking about is like, this isn't just for them, right? This has like generational impact.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And like when I hired the most recent ladies that we just hired in our shop, it was this really amazing moment to say, I made candles in my kitchen. I sold those candles and used the money to hire our first ladies. And then those ladies made candle in my kitchen and they sold those candles and we used the money to hire the next woman. And then those candles were made at 5818 and those candles were sold and they was hired the next lady. And then we made candles at this recent shop and those candles were sold to hire this round of ladies. We are a legacy of women that are coming together and we are building out a dream. And that's what my future is. That's what my dream for the future of this is to be, is that it would continue growing, to hire more women, to create a business that is mostly like, I would love to just even step back where it's completely survivor run, completely just able to house tons of jobs and employment, even from other networks of women that need hiring from other safe homes and things like that. So, I just want it to be a complete covering of economic and employment opportunity for women who survived harm, specifically sex trafficking.
And so this is where you, the listener, can get involved, right? Because it's not just like that legacy that's being created and passed on. Well, somebody's got to buy those candles.
And
right?
And my job has very much transitioned into marketing and just being like, I've got to move these. And so you, the listener, man, we have a monthly candle subscription where you get a new fragrance candle every single month. If you don't like the fragrance, you can return it. We'll replace it with whatever you want at no cost, just shipping. Like, that's an amazing way to make sure that you're putting money into this business. And let me just say, our goods are excellent. We do not.
Go for it.
We do not intend to have a charity that has a fake business on top of it. I promise you that when a batch of these goes wrong, we remake it.
That's right.
When we give you a product, it breaks in delivery, we replace it. We are not selling anything that we aren't 100% behind. We have pulled products off the shelf because they didn't meet our quality standards. So that being said, said, you can support us, but we know that you will come for the good, the social good, and you will stay for the quality.
Yeah, that's
right. I promise that.
Like real quick, I mean, one thing I wanted to touch on at some point, but I think this is a good point. Like everything's sustainably sourced.
Yes, ethically sourced.
Ethically sourced, yeah.
Where we don't use the label fair trade because not every ingredient meets that level, but I promise you that I do my best to research every vendor. For example, we use a soy wax that is from America, not from South America, to stop deforestation. We only use cotton in our wicks so that we make sure we're not using any kind of toxic, different toxic metals, things that are releasing fumes. We don't use paraffin. We very, very, very much limit even sustainable palm, not in our candles, but it's in one of our soaps because we want to make sure that we're supporting. All of our shirts are WRAP certified. Right. We look at every single product made. Most of whatever we can do is made in the USA. Things that are made out of the United States are very closely monitored. A lot of American-based companies and Texas-based companies, so we can make sure that we have an ethical product line. And the women have responded to that, saying man, it's really cool that that didn't hurt somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I was hurt.
Yeah, we're not enslaving people to right. I mean, by supporting,
and that affects our prices. This is not a $5 Target candle.
Right.
At the end of the day, because a lot more went into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you should just know that everybody on staff here, these are the candles that burn in our homes. These are the t-shirts that we wear. And I use our soap. I use our cologne. I love our cologne. I literally wear it every single day. It's called
Our
Third
lip
Coast.
balm is bomb. Our soap is bomb.
Yeah, and so we wouldn't endorse products that we wouldn't use ourselves. And so everything is amazing. So, okay. So just one last word before we wrap it up. What is your ultimate goal and vision? What is the ultimate future for social enterprise at Elijah Rising?
My ultimate goal and vision is to be the Lush of candles. The new Bath and Body Works that it's the brand that's known in everyone's home, but then you think, oh, you know what? They actually do a lot of good. Yeah. And we have to give credit where credit's due. Thistle Farms really, really spearheaded the way for a lot of social enterprises like us. They are incredible. We actually visited I've visited their facility many times. We're in their sister organization. So we have to say a huge thanks to them. Yeah. But we want to have this huge company in Houston that can hire many survivors, that has resources, opportunities, and then eventually funnels into different job markets once they're done with our program, that in their job we can say, you know what, we're going to pay you for this hour. And we've done this before. We're going to pay you for the next hour, but you're going to be working on your project management certificate. Yeah, we're going to be working on this certificate, your teaching license, all these different pieces, so that they have a one-stop shop, financial, economic empowerment space. That's the dream.
Tell people where they can buy our products, please.
You can buy our products at shop.elijahrising.org. You can also buy our products in person at A Second Cup, Flowers by Jerry, Old Galveston Trading Co. There's a few different shops that have us, but A Second Cup for sure is in the Heights, real close to us, and they have our goods.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks to you, Sam, for joining us on the podcast today. And as she said, you can go to shop.elijahrising.org. But if you want to find out more about the rest of the work of Elijah Rising, I encourage you to go to our website, elijahrising.org. You can also find out a lot about us from our Instagram page and our Facebook page.
And our TikTok now.
There is a new Elijah Rising TikTok. That's been a lot of fun. Perhaps we'll do a podcast just about TikToking. And so the last thing I'll say to you is just subscribe to this podcast and share it with everyone that you know. You obviously can find this anywhere you're listening to a podcast. And if you haven't seen the video version, you should go check it out on YouTube. Subscribe, rate, comment, send us your questions, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Elijah Rising podcast.